Today I want to reach out mainly to Christians and followers of Jesus Christ. I want to talk a little bit more about the second coming of Christ, because it's probably not going to be what you guys have imagined it to be. It's not going to be this, glorious entry, mainly because of what happened last time. So, there's been more understanding after the crucifixion in heaven. As a result of that, and, the ongoing things of this world, there's been more understanding about the ego mind and this universe that Jesus developed in heaven. And that's what led him to channel things like A Course in Miracles. So a lot of you guys are kind of currently trapped in only learning from the Bible. That's what's happening. I'm not saying you can't learn from it, but it's not complete. There's more understanding that is not written in the Bible. So if you're very much clinging to this one text, you're missing out on additional understanding and awakening. So my role is to help mediate this. So the second coming is not going to be like this one person. We're not going to come alone, most likely. And it's going to be much more of an underground thing, because the highest teaching is very radical compared to the ways of this world. And we know it is not safe to just come out and teach it. So that's something I need to relay that to you guys. So I'm not going to go around to every church and announce that I'm the second coming of Jesus Christ. That's going to put me in a very precarious position, actually. And also, nobody's going to believe me. Who's going to believe me? Because how are you going to recognize him when he does come back? This is the main problem. And I've spoken to some Christians, they don't recognize me because their consciousness is not high enough. So I know how this works. It's going to be very tricky to try to help you guys, because you're stuck in learning from the Bible. And, the preachers, they're not awake. They're not one with God in general. At least so far, I do not know any preachers that has reached God like Jesus has. So I want to read you guys a few verses from the Bible about, this idea that some of you might have, that Jesus was this one singular individual, and that it can only be this one singular individual. But really, the Christ lives in you to be awakened. And so I want to read a few lines to point you to that. So in Colossians chapter 1, verse 27, it reads, "To whom God willed to make known what are the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory." Book of Ephesians chapter 3, verse 17, "That Christ may make his home in your hearts through faith, that you, being rooted and grounded in love." Book 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 6 and 7, "Because the God who said, 'Out of darkness light shall shine,' is the one who shined in our hearts to illuminate the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of God and not out of us." So these lines are pointing to that everyone has Christ within them. So it's not unique to this one individual. It just happens to be an extremely narrow path that almost nobody wants to undertake, because it is the denial of, your individual self, to awaken back to the, collective self, the original self, really. So that's why it's so rare. But it's not to say it's limited to this one individual. So Jesus never intended people to worship him. And really, the worshiping is preventing you from realizing it yourself as the Son of God. So I'm here to untangle some of those confusions to people who might be open to this. And so the second coming is really going to be this evolving thing that very much depends on how this world reacts. It's well, if the world rejects Christ's consciousness, then we're not going to keep going. But if there's some acceptance, then we have some opening to work with. So it's a collaborative venture. This is not about one individual anymore. So to the people who, are willing to join in the second coming, I'm calling on you guys to assist with the awakening of the sonship. And so it's going to be a quiet entry, because we know it's not safe to, publicly announce this due to what happened last time. That's all, and I hope you guys keep an open mind about how this evolves.